Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to TRSF1. This series brought to you by, of course, PSGL and BDG here on the Trovo stream system. Very, very glad to be here. My name's George Morgan, of course. I am also joined by my co-commentator and good friend, Mark Alamonda. Mark, how are you?
Yeah, doing really well, George. Here at the home of British Motorsport. We've been racing here since 1950 in terms of the real-life Formula 1 sports. There was an Alfa Romeo 123 that day, and those driving the Alfa Romeos tonight for NWS would surely be hoping for that kind of result to put themselves into contention for the Esports Championship. And of course, George, we're in the very early stages, but CRG certainly laid down a statement with Blizzard's victory at the USA last week.
Certainly did. CRG capping off a phenomenal start to this competition after Blizzard rose through the ranks to capitalise on a very, very good prominent lead towards the end of that USA Grand Prix. The pit stops worked for him. The strategy was exquisite and it landed CRG with an excellent P1 victory at the USA and sends them into an early lead in this TRS F1 competition. Of course, we're now here at Silverstone here for the British Grand Prix. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. As you can see, these are the standings for the start. Comrade Gaming with 55 points lead the fray. Team Shazoo in P2 with 29 points. IGK Esports team with 28 points. Falcons there in 4th place with 27. For Serial Esports, 25 points. NWS Esports, 24. Joining them there is Veteranos Esports, also on 24 points. BDG on 17, matched by S2V Esports as well. And Vortex Gaming rounding them off with 7 points. But talking about that race last week, Mark, it was certainly a strategy masterclass by CRG. It looked like Sparks was the man to take them there, but it was Blizzard in the dying moments that managed to swallow it up.
Yes, I mean, there's a lot of talk of, the alternate strategy being overpowered, which to some degree, I guess I could agree with. But at the end of the day, you still have to make that work. You still have to, have the pain of the first stint when you're on the slower sides and then get the overtakes done with the right judgment. And, Blizzard, it wasn't that long ago. He was a wee whippersnapper in terms of the community, but he's a real grizzled veteran now. He's done this many, many times over, and he was well deserving the win last week.
Certainly did, and he's back here again, obviously, for Comrade Gaming. We're looking forward to bringing you this action here this evening. We're very, very lucky here to be at the home of British Motorsport. As you can see, there's the garages littered right in front of us there. The cars will very shortly be making their way out onto the circuit to begin qualifying, and we'll look forward to seeing who can stick their car on pole for the start of this race. I can already see the first lot of cars are coming out now. The Red Bull liveries starting to make their way through the paddock and out onto the track. It's certainly going to be interesting. Of course, Shazoo are going to be naming Juiced, and as well as his colleague and man in question, SHZ will be also sending out Eltnick as well. So a few new names that we've got across the grid order here today, and certainly a mountain to climb, because naturally with a first start in TRS F1 they have still got to try and get relaxed and sort of get used to the system, haven't they?
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of pressure on their shoulders, not just personally, but also from their various esports squads to deliver. And with that in mind, we've got quite a few changes. I mean, there's only 8 drivers, I should say, who were running in the first round. So a lot of new faces out there this evening trying to do their best for their teams.
They do indeed, and as you can see there, Andreas AG in for S2V this week in the Racing Point livery, just rounding that right-hander before Maggots and Beckett's, of course, that's Cops, and very soon making his way around the illustrious Maggots and Beckett's indeed. You want to be careful with this. So easy to invalidate when you're going at top speed here in those S's. Heading on the outset now towards Chapel and into the Hangar Straight. As you can see there, the Armco barrier just littered over the top there. And now heading towards the stand section, of course, that being Stowe, heading down Vale, and very soon he'll be making his way down towards the club corner. There's the paddock there on the right hand side, the entrance to the pit lane, of course, where you will be making your stops. As you can now see Andreas making his way around club corner now towards the start finish line to begin his fast lap now as he makes his way down towards Abbey. This is the right hander, swallows a lot of the curve there on the inset, takes that corner, very swish indeed, round farm curve now. He's got a couple of stragglers there, including Oscar Marino, his actual teammate. Looks like they could be making use of, once again, the toe being made or utilised here at Silverstone. Certainly he'll be useful down this Wellington straight as he makes his way down the stretch now under the Emirates banner. And here comes Andreas into the left-hander now. This is Aintree just after the loop. And sorry, it's not. Sorry, it's actually into left field. My mistake, going around Woodcote. And soon to be heading round Copse after this old straight here with the old paddock on the right-hand side indeed. A lot of history around this track, certainly, Mark, and we're very lucky to have racing here. There was talk of it being in doubt for Formula One in the future, rumours surrounding the idea of bringing Donington Park into Formula One, even Brands Hatch from the nether realm of Formula One back in the very early heydays, but always great to see Silverstone on the calendar.
Yes, I mean, let's be honest, Silverstone's the only facility as it stands that is capable of hosting Grand Prix racing. I mean, Brands Hatch, that's a non-starter with their noise restriction rules as they stand, and Donington is just far too decrepit in its facilities, so they really need to do a lot of work. But, you know, Donington certainly has had F1 in the past. We would need a lot of investment as an early 1:24 set. In terms of the pole time, there's been talk of sort of high 1:23s, even maybe 1:23.5s possibly for the fastest runners here today.
Yeah, just watching the two McLarens there bomb down the hangar stretch. Ferrer, of course, on his fast lap, using Alejandro's toe there to move himself up a spot. Jourdain taking top spot now with a 1:24.198. And Ruben Vallejo knocks one on top spot yet again. And Ferrer now, the pressure is mounting on the rest of the grid now to set their fast laps. As here comes Ferrer, P4 for the McLaren with a 1:24.294. But the story so far, Ruben Vallejo, who's just been trumped by CRG's new man, Mathis, who is also known as Onyx, takes top spot and with a 1:24.008, just a hairline fraction ahead of Wouters, who's now trumped again. Falcon Nardi for Team Falcon with a 1:23.875. Absolute Barbie country here, Mark.
Yes, absolutely. Some really blistering early banker laps here. Of course, CLG Mathis, one of the big names coming in for tonight. You know, Nardi, very familiar to the esports community, particularly, you know, AOR over the years, that sort of thing. Got Blizzard out there at the moment, the race winner from last week. I believe he's heading towards the final corner.
He's
not, rather, sorry, he's on the old Internationals race. I was looking at the track the wrong way around for some reason. But yes, he's heading to Copse at the moment. He may be looking for a tow from his teammate because up ahead is Mathis on his in lap. So I think Blizzard, good teamwork once again from Comrade Gaming as they attempt to get a nice tow down the straight, and that's exactly what they're about to do.
They are indeed. You can see there just ahead is of course the other CRG man Mathis, who has just recently signed to Comrade Gaming, and here comes Blizzard, who's now heading up now towards what will be Stowe after the hangar straight, and as he does so, clinging to every single apex as he can. I've got to say, just looking at the top end, Zach has taken pole now. A little bit of controversy there surrounding Zach. Of course, we'll talk to you about that in a minute, because here comes Blizzard now. Can he erupt another storm here like he did? And he did again! He's done it once again! The Blizzard has arrived in Britain! A 1:23.623. Phenomenal lap time by CRG Blizzard. Puts him on top spot by just over a tenth of a second.
Yes, and once again, just as USA, it is the four factions that we saw last week who were up there: Falcon, IGK, VSR. VSR, you know, they had a mixed session last week. Unfortunately, Jordan disconnected, and then superb recovery driving Prinez to get onto the podium. But yeah, Sergio Blizzard setting the early pace once again. He's really back to his best in many ways. He had a difficult F1 2019 in many ways, but F1 2020 is clearly a game that suits him much more, just in a way, perhaps not quite to the levels of F1 2018 where he was extremely strong on that game, but he is certainly nearly back to his best with the kind of one-lap pace he's showing.
Yes, and we're just seeing this man as well, Thyman, VSR Thyman, who's in for his first stint in the TRS F1 series in the Williams livery. And of course, VSR, after having a very difficult start to the competition, we now see Thyman dive into the pit lane. Certainly after setting a 1:23.917. Didn't have the best of starts to the competition, despite looking pretty racy at the start, but I'm sure we'll see more from them. Certainly a formidable team, and have been certainly very busy in the recruitment side of things, recruiting many top-end drivers, and I believe they're also taking a bit of a curve into the content production side of things as well, and certainly we'll see how they get on in this event. IGK Gill, of course, out on a lap as well. And of course, IGK Gill looked very formidable last week. We saw very many moves being made by Gill, as well as his comrade Zach. I like to use the word comrade there, obviously not a reference to Comrade Gaming, but certainly Gill out there to prove his mettle here on this circuit indeed. Silverstone known to bring, like you said before, Mark, of course we discussed the fact that America is a very similar circuit in terms of layout to that of certainly Silverstone, and of course we got the Maggots and Beckett's S's, like we have the S's in the first sector, and but Blizzard's still yet to be trumped. Of course, we will talk about Zach, because Zach, after last week, was given a bit of a penalty after the event last week. There was a little bit of an incident that was unfortunately caught and actually reported between him and NWS Hadler during the qualifying. And of course, I think that was actually spread onto Twitter then, and there was certainly a war of words exchanged through the latter stages of the event, and certainly after the event, post the event. And he has since been disqualified from the USA race results, and thus IGK will not score points with that car. So a bit of a blow certainly for IGK, especially given the fact that they were actually very good performers on the day.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, Zach had a pretty difficult second stint. He did fade quite badly. He was getting overtaken quite a few times, just struggling to get those tyres to the end, almost to the end. And then, of course, that incident didn't help him, and he ended up with nothing. So that was very unfortunate for IGK. But, you know, Gil, he performed really well. Almost a victim of the way that the alternate strategy was undercutting against him in terms of the tyre performance, so wasn't able to maximise the result as he would have liked. But there may be a different story here today at Silverstone, because as we mentioned, it is similar in setup to USA, but it's slightly different in that 70% of the lap here is at full throttle. It's very much a power circuit here. There's not many, you know, heavy braking zones here. It's very much all about finding the right balance between having enough grip to deal with some of the insanely fast corners here, many of which did not used to be flat out 10 years ago, but are made to look absolutely easy these days. But you know, if you have too much downforce on this particular track to deal with those fast corners, then you'll be an absolute sitting duck, particularly into Stowe on the run down from the Hangar Straight.
You will. Naturally, you need all the pace you can get down those long stretches. Certainly the Wellington Straight and, of course, the Hangar Straight. More so probably the Hangar Straight, like you say, though, Mark, because obviously that entrance into Stowe, you do need to carry a lot of speed. I will say, though, the straight's actually on the home stretch where, of course, you've got the current paddock and, of course, the old paddock as well. You can take those corners heading out of those straights almost at full throttle. I mean, pretty much full throttle, because, like you said before, the downforce on these cars nowadays, it does make the corner taking a lot like child's play, really. I mean, these guys can really tackle it full throttle, head on, without a moment's doubt, and certainly that will aid their pace going into a race such as this. And Ruben Vallejo will be hoping for that himself now as he heads through Sector 2. Of course, he's just chasing VSR Thyman there. Of course, this will be his cool-down lap, currently on a 1:23.978. And Ruben Vallejo, who is, of course, a recognised name in the PC community, I commentate on him in ORL, got another podium last weekend amongst some of the biggest drivers in esports. This man is certainly someone on the rise here, Mark.
Oh, he certainly is, yeah. As you say, definitely better known in the PC community, but started to make a name for himself in the PS4 community. Had a tricky race last week involved in a first lap incident which really compromised him badly. But just going to switch gears for a minute, because VSR Thyman is on a good lap, faster in both Sector 1 and Sector 2 from his previous best. He's got a nice toe from Jordan down the main straight. Unfortunately, IGK Zach, I believe, validated. Although that might be in our lap, we'll see in a minute. But Thyman's about to cross the line, and it's 10th improvement. So he's now in the top 4. Zach's about to head through the veil, and will this be an improvement? Currently top 4.
Yeah, redemption here for Zach, hopefully. Of course, like we said before, doesn't get his result from last week in the USA, but comes across the line. So far, it's a 1:23.712 still, remains in P2. Of course, in P3 now, VSR Jordan. In fact, I think he went one better. In fact, as Juice snatches it from the depths there. P2 there for the Shazoo man. Juice there with a 1:23.674. And we're starting to see a lot more 23s popping up now. In fact, the top 9 drivers out of the classifications currently in the 1:23. So we are starting to see faster lap times, optimal times being posted. But still, no one can beat CRG Blizzard, who is currently still on top spot after he set that lap time pretty early in the qualifying session, Mark.
It certainly did, but Blizzard, he'll be slightly annoyed with himself and ran wide out of Stowe. Track limits are quite strict there, unlike real life, and he invalidated his second run, so he wasn't able to improve, and that's allowed his competition to close right on him. I mean, earlier on, there was about 9/10 of a second covering, you know, the top 10. That has dramatically reduced. It's now just under 4/10 of a second covering the top 10. So this shootout for pole at the end of the session is going to be pretty amazing if they can get their laps in.
And of course it means that going into the race, if they maintain these delta gaps, the penalties are going to be very punishing indeed. And like we said before, this track, albeit very, very quick, but you've got to be wary. If you take too much of the curbs or head over the curbs, penalties will be issued. So you are a sitting duck, certainly when it comes to being penalised for neglecting the corners as such. So you've got to take great care in those high-speed events on this track, because naturally it can catch you out. As we now see NWS Wouters there making his way down the stretch heading towards Stowe, and I'm sure he's looking to sit himself higher up the grid order. Naturally this isn't going to be a fast lap for him. He's diving into the pit lane as well for the NWS team, but not doing too bad. Top 10 for them, and certainly showing some signs of improvement. Of course, Caden Forbes down in P17, Mark.
Yes, he had a tricky race, Caden, last week. He had a decent start to it, then he just got caught up in a few incidents, some of which were down to kind of strange contact model that the game sometimes does that. Everyone back in the pit lane at the moment, except for one driver, and I think, is that Juice coming out onto track now? It might actually be, yes, El Tink. He's one of the drivers who will be looking to improve. He's currently down in P18, so he'll be looking to improve from that current position, but it's just crazy. He's only, it's a lifetime though on this grid, being 7/10 off the ground. In any other league, 7/10 would probably be, probably close to like top 10, but this is like the best of the best who are not involved in the official esports series here tonight.
They are indeed. This is actually still a very hench grid in terms of pace. Despite not being involved in the Esports Pro Series, these are still very hotly contested drivers. PS4 actually have one of the strongest batch of drivers in F1 platform racing at this moment in time. Of course, while the drivers are now setting on their outlaps, of course, we can have a quick look at the calendar. Of course, we're at Great Britain here today on the 7th of October. Next up is, of course, Singapore on the 21st. We'll have a little break in between. Italy then on the 28th, and then we have another break to Belgium then at Spa on the 11th of November. Heading then towards Monaco, to the street circuit, the Grand Prix Monte Carlo circuit, and certainly you're going to be seeing a lot of drivers trying their luck there, I am sure. The 2nd of December, we then head to Bahrain to the multi-million-dollar circuit, and then off to Vietnam for the brand new one on the calendar, followed then by Japan, and then grand finale at Abu Dhabi in the new year on the 20th of January. It's going to be brilliant, and we can't wait for it. Some very tasty fixtures on that calendar indeed, Mark.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm particularly looking forward to Singapore, because I haven't seen a lot of Singapore in this game, league racing wise, so I'll be very intrigued to see how that works with these modern cars. So just over 2.5 minutes of the session going, they're all starting to pile out now. It's a slightly longer outlap here than at the US because of the slow pit lane exit. So it's particularly those in the Mercedes garage, it must feel like an age getting back out on track.
I think it must do. Not ideal, that's for sure. I know we discussed the advantages and disadvantages of having these extended pit lanes, and certainly they can hamper your strategy, that's for sure, if you get it wrong. But nonetheless, it's something the drivers will have to manage effectively. As we now see KJ Eltnick making his way around the next right-hander here in Sector 2. Very soon he'll be making his way round Woodcote and into the stretch towards Copse. And indeed, this Red Bull livery is going to be looking to once again tackle the top end. Of course, we need to see what Eltnick can actually rumble on the top end of this classification. He's got a lot of big times to beat there and needs to get in the 123s to be in with a chance here as he now makes his way through Maggott and Beckett. And sorry, say that again, Matt.
He's going to get a tow.
He's going to get a tow indeed. Juice is actually just ahead of him and providing that tow that is so vital in these qualifying sessions. We've seen it last week as well. And as you can see there, Juice moving aside to let Eltnick through as they round Stowe, heading down towards Vale now, towards Club Corner, where indeed he needs to take a lot of the curb on the right-hand side into the left one almost instantly, heading round the next right-hander, indeed round Club, down towards the straight now, cross the line, P12 with a 124.029, but still no 123 for Eltnick yet, Mark.
No, but my goodness, he's now only 4/10 off, so that's a good improvement, but still only good enough for P12. No improvement for Andre, unfortunately, just shy of his best time. And I don't know if something happened to one of the Williams. Unless actually, I think he's getting out of the way. Yeah, Fireman's fine. There's a lot of traffic there. I tell you what, the two Alphas just about getting through there, but yeah, there's a lot of traffic. Just seeing if Jordan was on like a full lap or something. I'm not sure. He's invalidated somewhere, but we'll focus now because Blizzard is on a flying lap now. Absolutely took full commitment through Abbey. I think he's going to be the one to keep an eye on. He was very frustrated invalidating his second run, but he's really gunning for it now on his final run here.
He is indeed just rounding the loop now into what will be Aintree, heading down towards the Wellington Straight. You can see there the Emirates banner over the top down this Wellington Straight. Of course, Brooklands is dead ahead. And of course, you want to take a lot of this curve now, heading straight into the late apex of Brooklands. And down towards Luffield now, clinging to every apex. Just look at him, just watching that curve and clinging to it like a man possessed. Heading out of Woodcote now, down the stretch towards Copse. Down past the old paddock on the right-hand side, under the Fanatec banner now. And as he makes his way up towards the braking zone, no braking required here because he swallows the curve, heads straight out towards the Maggots and Beckett section. Of course, that notorious section, the famous section that we love to watch. It's absolutely majestic as we now see Mathis now providing that tow that is vital at this circuit as they come down the Hanger Straight, put under the Aramco banner and down towards Stowe. And indeed, the Haas car looking to once again stay at the top end. CRG currently occupying P1 and 3, rounding that Stowe corner down Vale, soon to be meeting with Club now. Can he go quicker like he's never been quick before? Here comes Blizzard. The storm is erupting yet again, this time for CRG, a 123.461, another 2/10 or 2/10 now clear of Juiced, who's in P2. Great lap there, Mark.
Magnificent lap. Just seeing if anyone's going to threaten that. Just having a look at Fireman's times. He's improving. Not sure he's going to improve enough. Yeah, this doesn't look particularly good, actually, I have to say. Yeah, no improvement from him. Is anyone else? No, I think there's not many. Juice didn't improve. He had a purple sector 3 actually, but had a disappointing sector 1. That's what cost him a shot. But he would have only improved slightly. He wouldn't have had any chance of getting near Blizzard's time. That is a significant goal from quality there. Blizzard with an absolutely sensational lap to take the pole here.
Phenomenal lap time indeed. A 123.461 is no mean feat by any means, and certainly well deserved for that man CRG Blizzard. He continues his red hot form from the start of this series last week, and once again really setting this grid order alight. I've got to say, 2/10 clear in a grid order such as this, that's massive, isn't it, Mark?
It is absolutely huge, but you know, Blizzard, he's done it again. This time it's a very different scenario for Blizzard. Of course, last week he was well outside the top 10, didn't have the best qualifying, but some of that might have been on purpose, some would say, but this time he's right at the front of the grid in the best seat in the house.
He is, and CRG Blizzard, that confirms it. Top man here, pole position for CRG Blizzard, Juiced in P2. CRG having a field day today, P3 for Mathis, IGK Zach in P4, redemption time for that man in the AlphaTauri, Jordan P5, Oscar Marino P6, Nicholas Mateo P7, Thyman P8, Wouters P9, Caden Forbes P10, P11 for Nardi, Roy in P12 following his teammate, Ruben Vallejo P13, Andreas P14, there in P15 is Eltnik, there is Gil in P16, Ferrer in P17, Law in P18, Alejandro P19, and last but not least, Leon Bentley in P20, Mark. But I got to say, that caps off our grid order. CRG look very much in the pole position, Mark, at this moment in time.
Yes, I mean, once again, they're looking mighty early doors in this championship, but of course, this is one of the most dangerous turn ones on any of the F1 tracks. So fast, almost flat out, particularly from the start. So anything can happen, but if Blizzard can sort of maintain that advantage, especially from the Delta, he might have a shot at sort of breaking the DRS. But notoriously, Britain is one of those tracks where getting out of that 1 second is very difficult without mistakes.
Absolutely. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal, folks. Let's take a quick look at this circuit, of course, here at Silverstone, because, of course, it is a synonymous, a circuit synonymous with motor racing indeed. We're very lucky to be here. And as you can see, there's the circuit, 5.891 kilometres. That's 3.660 miles to 18 corners. And you've got two, of course, DRS detection zones there. As you can now see, the corners there littered amongst this circuit, 18 altogether at this historic track. And we're very lucky to bring this action to you here as we now wait for the formation lap to begin. And we're looking forward to bringing you the action indeed. Of course, a good start is vital around Silverstone. You want to be the first car to exit Abbey indeed. I'd imagine that's pretty much on the top of the driver's list of priorities here today, isn't it, Mark?
Yes, this is, we mentioned it in the pre-race chat. We do not, want to see any shenanigans, of course, but for the drivers themselves, this is one of those tracks along with Singapore, which has a huge pit loss time. You do not want to get wing damage on lap 1 or drive through or anything like that, because without a safety car you're going to be at an enormous amount of time behind.
Absolutely. And these fast corners certainly do aid those drivers, certainly if you're able to master that downforce indeed, and of course maintain the speed levels that you're looking for to carry through the corners and sort of maximise your pace. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's the end goal in all of Formula One. There's predicted pit stop strategy. Lap 10 to 13 is when we predict the stops to be made. Of course, you can either go for a soft medium option, or you can go for the medium soft option. It totally depends on where you are on circuit, of course, and no surprises there. You can see the top 10 have gone for the softs because that's what they qualified on. The bottom 10 have gone for the mediums, with one hard compound there for IGK Gill. Now, what reason would Gill want to go for that hard compound there?
Very, very interesting selection from Gill. Traditionally, at least in the recent F1 games, the hards have not been a great tyre here. I mean, who can forget the the blue hards, which were absolutely useless unless you had wing damage in lap 1 and wanted to go all the way to the end. And that's the benefit of that tyre. If there's a lap 1 safety car, Gill will be able to go all the way to the end on those tyres, because they don't really wear at all, but they don't have a lot of performance, to be honest. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Maybe he's anticipating a safety car, but sometimes you can over anticipate those safety cars, and he'll be getting poor traction off the line. It's only less than 300 meters from the grid to turn 1 from the pole slot, so they're not going to have a lot of time to think about turn 1 until they get there.
Yeah, and we've also heard whispers of rain forecast here in this race as well, towards the end as well. So I've been prompted here by a few guys in the chat saying that there could be a little bit of rain on the way, so do bear with us, folks. We could be in for some very interesting strategies indeed, as we now see CRG Blizzard taking his step on the front of the grid, being joined by Shazoo's very own SHZ Juiced, and just in behind Blizzard he's got his teammate Matthias, who is there in P3. Zach, of course, in P4, looking for redemption after that very disappointing race last week in the United States that cost him his final grid order, as the lights are now about to go red. Third light, fourth light, the fifth light! And it's pedal to the metal, go, 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 go! And indeed, CRG Blizzard gets away well, but he's joined by Juiced at the very start, the Red Bull! Look at us snapping out, but here comes Blizzard! Lighting him up at the very start, in behind is Juiced! Zach battling it out there with Matthias, but Matthias trying to hold on! There's a cluster of cars there, as they now enter the loop, but still leading the way is CRG Blizzard! He's mastered the start there, right out of Abbey! Phenomenal start there, in behind though! Juiced tackling all over his back end! Here comes the Haas on the outside of Matthias, but indeed he's battling still with Zach. What a start here, Mark!
Oh, that was absolutely brilliant wheel-to-wheel from the top two. They're already getting a slight gap on the tyres. He doesn't seem to be getting the temperature in the tyres. He's already dropped probably a good half a second behind. Zach is all over the back of him, and it looks like, unfortunately, one of the Brutal Democracy drivers has had another difficult first lap. I think one of the Renaults has damage. Oh yeah, it's Nicholas Mateo who's gone way off at Cops, but has kept going. But I saw one driver get wing damage. I will confirm with you at the end of the lap who that is.
Yeah, Speedy G Nicholas Mateo dropping down to P15, not ideal for the young man. Of course, we see him as well in PC Gaming, like his colleague there, Ruben Vallejo, who is currently riding in P12. But as we look further up, Caden Forbes now making a place after tackling Falcon Roy as they make their way around Stowe here to finish off lap 1 already of 26. Certainly, well, actually, no, they won't be. Well, they'll be just about finishing now. You can see there, Wout is his teammate there, following Thyman, who is just dead ahead there in P7. Certainly a very long cluster of cars here, as we now see a bit of a ghosting happening there with Caden Forbes as the lobby begins to sort itself out. But further up, we have got a cluster of cars there battling it out for P6. Andreas there just dead ahead, though I got to say, I think he's in the wrong position. Falcon Roy is meant to be in P6, Ruben Vallejo in behind him in P7. Wout is there in P5. Oscar Marino is still there ahead of him as well, but leading the fray without question indeed, is of course the Blizzard. CRG Blizzard in front, his teammate not far behind him. Indeed, CRG trying to lock out the top end of the classification.
They absolutely are, and it was actually Falcon Nardi who picked up wing damage. He switched to the hards, very costly pit stop, and he is an enormous way behind, so he might be out of it. And there's a yellow in sector 2. It is IGK Gill. IGK has had an incident out of left field, and that decision to start in the hards is coming back to bite him in some ways. I didn't see the whole incident, just saw him around, and now he is all the way back down in P19.
Yeah, not a great start, especially after starting on the hard tyres. That is certainly not what you would have wanted. You've really got to rely on having a quality start if you're on a compound such as that. It's so easy to get swallowed up by those on the faster compounds as Nardi now leads the way. Of course, it looks like he's, according to this on my... Well, he's not leading the way, he's at the back. But CRG Blizzard currently in P1 on the softs. Indeed, we've got a bit of a mix-up with the HUD folks. Do apologise. Of course, we will manage it as best we can. Lap 3 of 26, though. And it's still Blizzard, who's being chased now by Juiced, who is currently 4/10 of a second. Already, Blizzard trying to really pull away here. He's managed to get into the 4/10 mark, which is pretty decent, I gotta say, from the very start of this Grand Prix. Blizzard is certainly on a mission.
Yeah, but Blizzard went very deep into turn 2, and that's allowed Juice to close back on him. DRS now enabled for the beginning of lap 3, and Juice will get his first opportunity. He's not gone up into overtake, he's just going to try and bide his time, try and force Blizzard to use a bit of battery with Blizzard. He kind of seems wise to it, hasn't used any battery himself, so keeping a good eye on Juice behind him. This is all allowing Matthias, aka Onyx, to come behind him. Zach is right there as well. Jordan keeping a watching brief from P5. Oscar Moreno, a very decent start for Oscar Moreno, keeping going there, and Feynman in P7. So for VSR, both their cars neither have disconnected yet, so as far as they're concerned, it's been a much better race for them so far collectively.
It has been indeed, and Zach now currently in P4 for IGK, currently rounding Maggots and Beckett's, and he's trying to close on CRG Matthias, who is still in P3 and trying to chase Juiced, who is riding on the coattails of his teammate Blizzard at this moment in time, as you can now see them running round or dashing down the Hangar Straight. And indeed, Juice is now making his way further up, trying to tackle a little bit of a nose in the back there of the Blizzard. And certainly, CRG Blizzard is having none of that. He's still holding on to P1 for now. 3/10 separating him and Juice, at least for the time being. Matthias there, half a second in behind Juice as well. But he's being clocked by IGK Zach, who's being clocked by Jordine. We've got a string of cars here. The DRS train still being maintained. We are in lap 4 of 26. Long way to go, Mark.
It is literally an 18-car DRS train. None of them are outside a second of one another. So that is a huge train. Whether anyone will get derailed, that may happen as the softs begin to burn off, but that's not going to be for quite a few laps just yet. I'll tell you what, Juice has really good front balance. He's easily able to ride the dirty air and keep within half a second of Blizzard, which is the kill zone you really need. That's the delta you need to get an overtake done here with the DRS and overtake. If you're over half a second behind, it's extremely difficult to get an overtake done.
It is very, very difficult indeed. I've got to say, you need to really carry the pace here. Like we said before, and this is the thing with these DRS trains, it takes one man to really make a mistake for it all to come crumbling down. And indeed, Blizzard still maintaining that distance of 3/10 of a second between him and Juice. It's vital that he maintains it, but of course he is still going to be fodder for DRS if Juice can activate it and get in his slipstream, because certainly that gap of 3/10 will mean nothing as they now exit. And indeed, Juice there rubbing a little bit on the turf, which would have cost him a little bit of time on the exit of the Maggots and Beckett's heading into the Chapel curve. In fact, it was Chapel that he actually surrendered some of that track to, and indeed that's allowed Blizzard to sort of carry on his advantage in P1. That gap has not been moved from the 3.5 mark, so he's certainly looking very comfortable, is Blizzard, in P1 right now. Remember, everyone from P1 to P9 on soft tyres. The only exception, of course, Nicholas Mateo, who was on soft tyres earlier on, dropping down the grid order. He's now in P12.
Yeah, it was a very strong sector 2 and sector 3 by Blizzard that allowed him to get position. I can't say the same for Matthias though. He had a very difficult sector 2, and Zach, to be honest, at the moment looks quicker than Matthias. But Matthias, with the DRS in sector 3, was able to sort of just to steady the ship a bit and maintain a decent gap to the top 2. I think if Matthias was to fall out of the DRS of the 2 ahead, I think he'd be very vulnerable to Zach. He's just looking a little bit quicker at the moment.
Certainly is, and Zach at the moment, of course, he was setting some really good fast-pacey lap times, and he is a quick guy, of course. He just unfortunately he paid the price after a mistake last week, and he's been forced now to come here and try and redeem it all. As you can now see, of course, he's only on his final warning now. If he makes another mistake like that, he will be removed from the competition, so he needs to really try and keep a level head for the rest of this series. Currently in P4 is IGK Zach, and indeed Juice now looking to make a move here on the inside now of CRG Blizzard, gets it done, going round Stone, majestic there by the Shazoo Racing team driver, and certainly Juice will be very pleased with that. Coming down towards the final part of sector 3, and Juice is your P1 sitter, Mark.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. Juice got a brilliant exit onto the Hangar Straight, and Blizzard had little defence today. Didn't really put so much of a fight. I can't say the same for Matthias. You have to really defend out Stowe and into the Vale. They actually made slight contact, Zach and Matthias. No damage done. But Zach is really putting on pressure, and Matthias momentarily slipping out of DRS on the top 2. He's got to be really careful, but Zach is getting a little bit frustrated. He's desperate to get ahead of them because he knows that, you know, once you fall out of DRS, even if you overtake a car, it's very difficult to then catch up to the two ahead who will be getting DRS off each other.
Yeah, it'd be absolutely disastrous for CRG if Matthias, takes himself away from that DRS catchment zone. Certainly he does not want to lose the back end of Blizzard. He needs it to stay in touch with the top three, of course. Now Juice leading the way, and he is now clear by nearly 0.6 of a second, running extremely well for the Shizou Racing team. Just coming around this next right-hander at Copse, heading down towards what will be Maggots and Beckett, and of course you've got to try and manage this section very effectively as we now watch Blizzard make his way around this notorious, this amazing part of the track that we love to see, as Juice makes a little error there, marches his way onto the turf, and indeed Blizzard can make use of the straight line speed now that he's kept his lead so well earlier on after Juice made that manoeuvre, but no overtake can be made for Blizzard. He still maintains P2 to just over 0.3 of a second now behind that of the Shizou Racing driver, but it's still a long way to go. Lap 6, 20 laps remaining here, Mark.
Yeah, still a lot. It's not, these races at Britain don't last too long, but it's always a thrilling action. And an early pit stop for Caden Forbes. The gaps are beginning to form in that DRS train. It is no longer an 18-car DRS train. They are beginning to collapse, so to speak. So an early pit stop for Caden Forbes. I wonder where he's going for. Medium should go to the end, unless he's having to get a wing changed. Is that a wing change for Caden Forbes? No, it's a straight pit stop. So looking to get the undercut. Undercut can be very powerful here if you get good, clean air when you come out, and that shouldn't be a problem for Caden. He's one of the first to make a pit stop in terms of those who didn't get damage early on.
Yeah, and in all that drama as well, we've just had an overtake. Zach has made it into P3 after moving past Matthias down the Wellington straight. A phenomenal move. They went wheel to wheel pretty much around Luffield after Brooklands, and it was a great move indeed. Zach showing his pace, and now he's already cruised up to a 0.4 of a second advantage. He is now trying to press home now on CRG Blizzard, who until now only had Juice to worry about, but now he's got the IGK driver Zach all over his tail fin now, literally only he's well within a second. He's got plenty of time to make up the ground now if he can activate that DRS, but be wary, Matthias in P4 is only half a second behind him, and Jordan has entered the fray.
Yeah, it certainly has. Oscar Moreno and Fireman gamely holding on. Walters is still there, and Andre with a nice move on Falcon Roy just now to move up to P9. So Caden and Nicholas Mateo, they've made early pit stops for the medium to go to the end of the race. And they're about 20 seconds behind the pack, so they should get a significant undercut at this point in time as Walters pits for NWS. So, you know, it's going to be a few more of these pit stops, but I think the leaders, they'll probably choose to stay out a bit longer so they have the fresher mediums at the end.
What are we thinking for the leaders? Are we talking lap 10 here, Mark?
I think they'll stretch it to at least lap 9 before they think about pitting. I think they'll be keeping an eye on the track map to see those, but, you know, the people who have pitted earlier, they're not going to be threatening them. However, if one of these guys like Juice, Blizzard, Zach, Matthias or Jordan decides to pit on this lap, that will be a trigger for the rest of the pit and the following lap, because they will not want to give anyone a significant advantage in undercut.
No, well, the Williams driver, Jordan, riding all over the back end of Matthias, who currently is having a very uncomfortable time in P4. Of course, remember, he had that overtake made on him by Zach for the IGK team, who has now made his way up into P3. But Jordan now trying to press home the advantage against CRG Matthias, who is now making his way through Maggots and Beckett's with a Williams tapered to his rear as they now exit the Maggots and Beckett's bed. Matthias a little bit untidy on the exit there, and that allows Jordan to once again close the gap. And indeed, it looks like he might even be closing more delta time. He's well within 0.2 of a second as they round Stowe, and a bit of a late break there from Jordan allows him to close the gap a little more, but it's not enough so far. And already early pit stops here. Matthias, Juiced and Jordan all in the pits.
Yeah, Juice basically looked like he was going to carry on and suddenly darted legally, no problem with that, into the pit lane along with Matthias and Jordan. But this could be critical because, you know, Juice is the first one in, but he could get held up by the cars following him. We'll see. No, I think he'll be fine actually. There's no other cars behind him, so he will not be affected there. So now it's down to Blizzard and Zach. What do they do in terms of traffic? What are they going to come out to? They should come into plenty of clear road, although there is the NWS driver Walters who could threaten them. It's a long pit lane here, but I think they should come out clear, those three, of that traffic we pitted earlier.
Yeah, I think you have the luxury here, otherwise than the USA, certainly, to enter the track without too much disturbance, of course, because when you come out the pit lane at the USA, you instantly are met with a hairpin bend. You don't get anything of the sort here at the UK circuit of Silverstone, as we now see Zach chasing Blizzard around Copse now. and very soon to be heading their way down towards Maggots and Beckett. In front is Blizzard. He's leading by 6.5 tenths of a second, but indeed he's still going to be under pressure. Zach has shown a lot of pace here in these early stages. Certainly be interested to see how the guys who have just pitted will fare as the strategies unfold. We now see Falcon Roy, of course, also trying to close the gap on Andreas, who, of course, driving for the S2V team, now under pressure because DRS has been activated here for Falcon Roy, and he can very easily pass here as they come down towards Stowe. Here comes the Black Arrow, round in the corner. Excellent move, textbook there from Falcon Roy. Gets it done. Team Falcon up to P5, Mark.
Yeah, that was absolutely excellent. But just behind them, there's a four-way old-school scrap between the McLarens and Ferrari, the Veteranos and the VLT drivers all going at it. So that's a pretty thrilling midfield scrap. They won't be pitting for a while, of course, but now Blizzard and Zach in the pit lane. So this is a huge moment. I'm going to keep an eye on Juice and Mattis. They are just entering the Vale now, so it could be a significant undercut already for those guys.
Absolutely. I mean, Zach's currently in the pits, of course. Gil has already made it past as well. Of course, remember, he was at the tail end of the field, and we're going to be waiting now for Matthias to come past. And indeed, just looking at it now, as they exit, CRG Blizzard coming out, and by the looks of it, as things stand, Matthias is ahead. So this is massive. This is absolutely massive. And Matthias, who was before... of course, that just shows the difference that this pit lane really makes, because Matthias, who was behind his teammate Blizzard, is now in P10 and ahead of his teammate, who's in P14.
Yeah, and Walters for NWS pitted 2 laps for these guys, and he's got ahead of Blizzard. So I don't know if Blizzard may have got held up in the pits, because he's lost quite a bit of time, relatively speaking. So this puts Juice in the net lead from Matthias and Jordan, so that's really turned it around. But so it looks like IGK, Zach and Blizzard are going to have some overtaking to do to win this race, and penalties are going to be massive now.
Well, this is very different to last week. The strategies adopted by the teams here is going to be pretty much a straight fist fight now, right until the end of this Grand Prix. We've got 16 laps remaining here at Silverstone, and Juiced is now leading this contingent of cars. Shazoo looking for their first win, obviously, of this series. In behind, Matthias looking to obviously get his first win for CRG, although it'll be the second win for CRG as they now round the Stowe corner, and the Red Bull now leading the charge. In behind, of course, the Haas, and then the Williams of VSR Jordan. Still plenty of racing left here at Silverstone, the home of British motorsport here, and we're very, very pleased to be here as well, albeit in a virtual sense. This track never gets old, as we can now see Juiced now making his way around the next right-hander, round Cops. Soon he'll be making his way down towards Maggots and Beckett's. The Red Bull still leading the charge, net leader of this Grand Prix, P9 though, at the moment. Still yet to see a lot of the drivers in the top 10, or the top 8, should I say, pit. Indeed, IGK Gil will go longer as we see a spin, and that's Ferrer. Ferrer has spun in the McLaren, and that drops him down to P8, and certainly spins are certainly not an option if you want a good result here today. And now he's only 15 seconds behind, or 15 seconds ahead of Juice, so Juice can really close the gap, therefore making Ferrer's strategy a very difficult one.
Absolutely, he was battling furiously. He just kind of lost control just before the Luffield corner, and here comes Ruben Velaggio. He's going to try it. Oh my god! Oh, hits the back of the Racing Point, but no damage, luckily. But yeah, Falcon and Andres and Ruben really not doing their strategy any favours, battling this hard. And then there's that other trio of cars behind him, Alejandro Lore and Leon Bentley, who's having a nice solid first stint so far. But I think just behind him, there's so much action going on now. Juice still maintaining his effective net lead ahead of Matthias and Jordan. And, Walters just solidly in there. So he's in the fight now for this. Zach's going to be all over the back of Jordan. He's got an opportunity really to put mark on this. Blizzard now slightly compromised from being held in the pit lane.
Yeah, well, Zach now very much over the back of Jordan. We got, once again, a DRS train between all these leaders right now as they make their way through Abbey in the initial first few bends here in Sector 1 of lap 12. And as you can now see, Jordan still just about in front of Zach. Zach crawling all over the back end of VSR Jordan. He certainly is really in peril right now. CRG Mathis is giving himself a little bit of a lay-by here. He's been given a little bit of a respite because Zach is putting a lot of pressure on Jordan. I get the impression that Jordan is focusing a lot more on what Zach's doing rather than what Matthias is doing. That's allowing Matthias to sort of try and press the advantage on Juice. Just look how close Zach is getting to the rear end of that Williams. He's already managed to push away by 0.8 of a second from Waters, who's driving the Alfa Romeo. And indeed, as they now round Copse before they reach Maggots and Beckett, Jordan just about hanging on. He may have got a better exit there than the AlphaTauri of Zach as they make their way through the S's section. Just dead ahead, of course, Matthias, who is now pulling out even more of a gap between him and Jordan. You can see that Matthias' intentions are firmly laid upon the likes of Juiced right now, who is currently in the lead by 0.5 of a second. Surely a move has got to be made at some point here, Mark.
Yes, well, they're going to be playing a little bit of a waiting game, I think, just to make sure they get to the point where everyone's coming in.
Here we go, down the inside. Here comes CRG Blizzard into the final sector of this lap 13 as they make their way around the next round, albeit lap 12. Here comes the Blizzard, wheel to wheel, heading down the stretch now towards the first corner into Abbey. The Haas has got it. CRG Blizzard once again moving up the grid order.
Absolutely brilliant, and the bonus for him is he has kept within a second of the guys ahead, so he didn't lose any time, relatively speaking, getting that move done. Waters, well, he fought it very fairly, very respectfully, but wasn't able to stop him. Slightly fresher tyres of Blizzard, giving him the advantage.
Yeah, and Jordan is all over the back of Matthias now, so he's managed to pull the gap back as they now make their way into the left field bend. And indeed, Matthias is really starting to pull back now on Jordan. Jordan is really all over the back of him here, right in his gearbox, almost in the cockpit there. But Matthias is hanging on in P10. Still pit stops yet to be made by those in the top 8, but Juiced, technically your net leader of the race. You can't take your eyes off this these net leaders at all. Juiced, with all the drama, is still managing to maintain that half a second advantage. No. And we've got some drama here as Zach once again comes a cropper at the S's section.
Yeah, that was never ever going to work. He's trying to go side by side with Jordan through the S section. That's never ever going to work. Should have backed off before then. He's paid a heavy price. Got a 3-second time penalty, and now it's down P17.
Yeah, and all that's allowed Blizzard, actually. He's actually done Blizzard a favour because now he can focus on Jordan. All he's got is half a second between him and the Williams. So I got to say, it could be Blizzard's day once again if CRG can do the double here. This is a great position for that team to be in. But of course, they've still got the Shazoo driver of Juiced, currently in net P1, of course. And we're still yet to see any of the medium tyre wearing cars in front. To make changes. So we now see Law getting past Alejandro there as they make their way around the next right-hand corner. And indeed, the Ferrari now in P4 of this Grand Prix, albeit for now subject to pit stops. Alejandro relegated to P5.
Yes, they'd love a safety car right now, wouldn't they? Those ahead of Juice, those who have pitted. But no sign of that at the moment. There are huge runoff areas here. You very rarely get a retirement here in terms of hitting the wall in particular. So I'd be surprised if we saw a safety car. Now the interesting thing is, George, Juiced, etc. They're beginning to close the gap to Fire in P8 rather rapidly. They're going about half a second faster than the McLaren driver, who has compromised tyres on that spin earlier. So I would expect them to have that sort of pace difference. But, if Juiced gets somehow stuck behind him, even for half a lap, it might give Matthias half a chance to get the net lead from him.
I mean, could this mean that the soft tyre starting strategy obviously outweighs that of the mediums? I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but I know obviously at the start you're going to have an advantage regardless. You're on the front end of the grid. But it seems to me that the soft to medium strategy works better than the medium to soft. Would you agree with that?
Normally that is the case in Britain without a safety car, because so much of the lap is taken at full throttle. You're getting more of that, that better grip. You're not being slowed down by braking zones like you would at the USA, for example. And they've gone a long way on those tyres. They're going to be taking a lot out of them, just punishing them on this power circuit. And of course, the pace, in terms of the delta, there's only about half a second difference between the softs and the mediums, so there's not as big an advantage of being on the alternate strategy.
No, not at all. And as you can see now, Jordan all over the back end of Matthias. Certainly the Haas is under pressure once again. Jordan has been relentless here today, and certainly a very good performance here from the BSR team. They needed it after last week. They had a very difficult race at the USA. It wasn't ideal. I can imagine they probably wanted something a little bit more out of the States, but certainly as the way things sit right now, they are in provisional P3, subject to the pit stops that are being made above. But nevertheless, it's still Juiced who's technically your net leader. Matthias currently in net P2. You've got Jordan currently in net P3. Ruben Vallejo has made a move into P2 as well. And in fact, Andreas has dived into the pit lane. So already, we've got the first of the medium tyres now in the pit.
Yes, indeed. But unfortunately, Andreas just picks up a 5-second time penalty, which, as he won't pit again, he'll have to get at the end of the race, unless he has to pit again. But that's going to be highly costly, so that will ruin any chance he has of making the alternative strategy work, if at all. But now you can see Juice is now within earshot, I should say, eye shot of Fira up ahead, nearly in DRS range. So it's going to get very interesting here. Matthias will be licking his lips, hoping that he trips up over that McLaren somehow to give him a chance.
Absolutely. Well, in all this madness as well, you can just see there, of course, IGK Gill, whose strategy, of course, was to start on the hard tyres. Remember, he had that spin earlier on, and currently the way things sit right now, he's literally only a matter of about 4 seconds or 5 seconds away from Juiced as well. So IGK Gill on a bit of a disastrous strategy here, because bear in mind, he's still got a pit, because he's on hard tyres that he started on, and the strategy's really not working out for him at this moment in time, because he's going to fall easy prey to that of Juiced if he can catch him up at this early stage. Is it a case that Gill's now got to try and sit tight and wait till the latter end of the race and then put the softs on and just try and go for it?
Well, unless that rain comes, I think he's got little chance really of getting anything out of this race, to be honest.
No, he's had a very tough start indeed, as we now see Juice making his way down towards Stowe. Looking very prominent here is the Red Bull, but not able to make a move just yet. The McLaren still up in P7 as they make their way down towards the final few bends before they finish what will be their lap 16 of 26. So moving into lap 17 now. And we're seeing more drivers pit there further up the grid order. Ruben Vallejo being one of them. VRT Law also pitting. And they've now donned the soft compound of tyre. And indeed, as you can now see, Juice all over the back end of that McLaren. Makes a little move here on the inside, heading into the right-hander. That, of course, being Village, heading into the loop. But he's still tussling there with the McLaren. Oh my word, that was close. An end plate nearly became a cropper, but Juice gets it done. Ferrer, in all that drama, caused a bit of an issue there for VSR Jordan, who was right behind Juice and has actually fallen victim to a loss of time as he now makes his move on Ferrer. So does Blizzard, follows him through. We have now got the top three drivers all grouped together in provisional P5, 6 and 7. So the way things are sat right now, these three are going to be battling it out for the win in this Grand Prix.
Yeah, Matthias so unlucky. Fyro was just slight contact from Juice. That's definitely more of a racing incident, but you know, Matthias had to take avoiding action off the racing line and then lost several positions. So he'll be so frustrated, and particularly with that time penalty, he's now really up against it to get on the podium now.
Absolutely, he's going to really put the pressure on. Paul Mathis, who was actually a real prominent figure in the race earlier on, now makes his move on Ferrer. It must be in vain though as he makes his way around this next right-hander, because he knows the damage might have been done as they round Stowe. And indeed it's McLaren still fighting amongst this top end lot of drivers. Ferrer not leaving any stone untouched, actually has a little look going into the next left-hander, but of course Matthias holds firm and maintains that P8 position. He is now behind his teammate, albeit by 0.5 of a second, so the damage wasn't too bad. He's still within the time gap and he has a chance here. CRG in fact with a major chance, because they're the only ones with two drivers in with a chance of podiums here today. So Juice and Jordan have got a lot of pressure on their hands.
Absolutely. There's only one warning between Juice, Jordan and Blizzard collectively.
Nothing between them whatsoever, so no penalties either at this moment. So one penalty could really decide this race actually, Mark.
Yep, absolutely. It's coming down. Matthias has one 3-second time penalty at the moment. Gill did pit in the end. He had no choice. He just couldn't get that strategy to work. That spin compromised so badly, and he picked up, to add insult to injury, a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So it's been an absolute nightmare of a day for the IGK drivers in many ways.
Yeah, well, IGK Zach just took over Thyman there, who's in P11 now. But IGK Zach now moving into the top 10, so he's making a recovery, and he's now 3/10 clear of Thyman, who is just behind him at this moment in time. Both of them on the same compounded tyre, both pitting at the same time as well, as we now see Matthias moving up on his teammate as well. But in ahead is Jordan, who has managed to get within 0.3 of a second now of Juiced, and these two are going to be battling it out now as they make their way down towards the next left-hander. And indeed the Williams is looking to try and get a job done here. VSR still within a very good shout of a win here today, but of course the Shazoo Racing team will be looking on in hopeful expectation that Juice can bring it home for them here and get them their first win of this series. How valuable will this first win be to their certainly their championship quest here? But you can imagine that CRG come here with a great opportunity to score some real major points. It's really going to make it so competitive towards the last stage of the season. Certainly if we have this every race we have in this series, Mark.
Yeah, it certainly is, and Fire is still going on those old mediums. He's in P7 at the moment. He's just been overtaken by Oscar Moreno. The SUV driver Oscar Moreno, he's had a very solid race, I have to say. I don't think he's going to be threatening the podium positions, at least with the pace he's currently got. But he's not far off. He's just about 1.5 seconds behind the top 6, or the top 5 net, I should say. There's some fast and furious battles going on behind him. Ruben, Andreas, and Caden Forbes having a fearsome scrap over P12 at the moment, and then further back behind them, quite a long way behind now, it's BRT Law, Alejandro, Leon Benny, and of course IGK and Falconardi all the way down the back. IGK is about to get a move done though, down into Cops on KJ, who's on the hard, so an easy move for IGK, but it doesn't really mean anything at the moment.
And we got a 3 wide coming into Stowe as well, because here comes Nicholas Mateo. What a move by Zach! He squeezed through for Red to move up into P9. He's now all over the back end of Nicholas Mateo. Heroic move here from Zach. IGK Gaming looking on in expectation for their man to make a recovery here. But Nicholas Mateo hangs on. Phenomenal scrap there round Stowe. But it's Nicholas Mateo who leads the fray amongst these 3. Zach with a trailblazing switch. Doesn't master it, but as they make their way down to the next round, and does not make the move. Get the move done, but a lock up there from Nicholas as they come around the next right-hander, but Nicholas Mateo will have the run into the next left-hander. But what driving from Zach? He's literally pitching every opportunity he tries to get, not able to be clinical on this occasion, but Nicholas Mateo leads this trio down towards the next left-hander.
Yeah, well, sometimes an angry driver is the best kind of driver, and Zach is using all of that energy to try and recover as many places as possible. That was a brilliant bit of racing outside of Stowe all the way to the end of the lap, and now he'll be all over the back of Nicholas Mateo. And Oscar Moreno was thinking he was going to have a quiet end to the race. I don't think that's going to be the case, because Nicholas Mateo and Zach at least are going to be hounding him all the way to the checkered flag now.
Yeah, these drivers are absolutely ruthless. Ruthless, I say, as they come round Maggots and Beckett's, as they make their way round Chapel. And Nicholas Mateo still gripping onto that P7. He is not letting go here. This man, he doesn't know the meaning of the word quit. As he now looks behind him and sees Zach, who's dropped back by near enough 0.4 of a second, making their way round Stowe now once again. Ahead of him, Oscar Moreno, who you commented earlier, Mark, saying that he was having an improved race, but looks like he might get swallowed up by the youngster here, driving that Renault car for BDG here today. Rounding the next chicane, heading round the next right-hander before they come across the start-finish line once again. And Nicholas Mateo leading around these cars who were on medium tyres. A significant amount of wear now brought upon that compound. In behind them, they're going to be fodder for the likes of the soft compound tyres of Ruben Vallejo and Andreas. Just how much could they figure at the end of this race, Mark?
Well, I think they'll catch that terrain. So there could be a massive scrap over P6 at the end of the race. Maybe a 6-car battle for that. Caden Forbes kind of in no man's land at the moment. Not sure Falcon might catch him by the end, but it's not for points. Yeah, I have to say, a few dark clouds over the track. Could there be some light rain? May come too late for this race, but yeah, Jordan, Juice and Blizzard, as you were, in terms of the penalty situation. So Matthias is kind of, as it stands, he's not going to get on the podium. He's got a 3-second time penalty and doesn't have the track position either.
No, I'm not sure whether actually any of these drivers will want to risk it for a biscuit here for a new set of wet weather tyres. Like, it looks to me like it might come too late in the day, but Zach once again trying to pull on the advantage of Nicholas Mateo, who's in P7, and as you can see, the AlphaTauri might be too much for the youngster here, as Oscar Moreno is now going to become fodder for that of the youngster in the Renault car as they round the next right-hander at Stowe, down towards the little straight, heading down towards the next chicane. Indeed, the Pink Panther, Oscar Moreno, trying to hold off the yellow Renault of Nicholas Mateo, and as you can see, it wasn't the Pink Panther Renault, sorry, that's the Pink Panther Racing Point, but the Renault in behind him is all over him like a nasty rash, as we now see Nicholas Mateo rounding the next right-hander indeed here in their lap 22 of 26. They come round sector 1 now proper into the next right-hander, and indeed Oscar Moreno trying to grip onto the track as best he can, knowing that this youngster Nicholas Mateo is all over him like a nasty rash as they come round towards the next left-hander, towards the Wellington straight round Aintree. As they make their way down the stretch now, the DRS opens up for Nicholas Mateo. Zach in behind as well, literally just over 1/10 of a second in behind. No late lunge here from Zach this time as they round the next left, round the next right-hander now, gripping to the apex. Oscar Moreno still holding on to P6, albeit for how long, Mark? How long?
Well, that is an amazing battle, but I tell you what, Juice is getting a bit twitchy behind the wheel. He's looking really nervous, trying to hold on to this win, because now Jordan is really putting the hammer down, really putting him under pressure. He's been in this position perhaps a few more times than Juice has in terms of these sort of esport wide wars. Jordan really going for it now.
Yeah, he's not on his own either. Blizzard is right behind him, and I gotta say, this man can get it done, but Blizzard is not the answer to the question here as Jordan swipes in a P1 here at the Stone Corner at the Silverstone British Grand Prix. You can now see Jordan making his way around the chicane, leading the fray. You said Juice was wobbly. He just wobbled too much. He is down in P2. Jordan takes the lead.
Yeah, and if he's not careful, he's going to have to calm down a little bit, at least try and regain some composure, because Blizzard, I think he's going to go for a move into turn 2 here. He's going for it.
He is indeed rounding the next right-hander, but no chance here. But no, he does. He might have a chance. Blizzard rounding the next left. Can he get Juiced on the switchback? No, he can't. Blizzard being left undone once again. He'll have DRS, and he has the pace out of the corner, heading down Wellington into the late apex on the left-hand side. Here comes Blizzard. Last week's winner gets a move down into second place. Yes, he does. It's Blizzard in P2. He's now chasing Jordan 0.4 of a second to find.
Oh yes, well, it's all gone wrong for Juice in the space of a lap. But, you know, he can still get a podium here. He's got to just try and eke out. Has he taken out too much of those tyres? That's it, it's just struggling for grip suddenly. But I think it's more nerves, to be honest, because suddenly he's just making the mistakes he wasn't making early in the race. But he's still in this fight. And Blizzard does have 2 warnings now, which he got a couple of laps ago. So Blizzard on the tightrope in terms of the time penalty, which would be absolutely costly for a chance of a race win at this point, which he really does have a chance of getting now.
He certainly does. He's right in the trailblazing tail fin of Jordan for VSI, who's in P1. Also a man we haven't forgotten about is Mathis, who is currently in P4 for CRG in the Haas car, that Haas livery, currently occupying Ps2 and 4 on the classifications here. Absolutely unbelievable performance here from CRG, but they've still got Jordan in P1 and Juiced in P3 to deal with as they round the next left-hander. And indeed, as they do so, round sector 1 here in lap 24, a wide move by Blizzard allows Juiced back in here, but he also locks up Matthias a little bit untidy around the initial part of sector 1 as they now round Aintree corner into the Wellington straight, and Juiced is now having a look all over the rear end of Blizzard, albeit now the gap has increased by nearly half a second as they round the next left-hander. Indeed, Jordan still showing the way here as they round Luffield, soon to be Woodcote. Jordan still in front. Nicholas Mateo making a move on Oscar Moreno. These two are tying up once again. Nicholas here with the outward pace, and indeed the Renault slaps it up. P6 for Nicholas. Great move.
Yeah, Zach had way much more pace coming out of Luffield. And side by side through Cops, Moreno and Mateo just about get through. Mateo had actually got past the previous lap, but Moreno was coming back at him, and Zach is surely not going to go side by side. He's going to go around the outside through Beckett's. Oh my goodness, if he gets this done, he's forced Moreno off, unfortunately. And Moreno's back on the track safely, but that allows BGG to gain another place, moving this through on those softs. So it's a really good result for BGG at the moment.
It is indeed. They're joining together in tandem in P6 and P7, both of them on alternative tyres. It might be the case that Nicholas goes to his teammate and says, "You're on the softs, go for it, Ruben." Currently occupying P7. In behind IGK, Zach in P8, Oscar Moreno in P9. Both of them coming a cropper around the Maggots and Beckett section in the previous, or in that previous lap. As we now see, Nicholas Mateo leading around this contingent, joined up by his teammate of Ruben Vallejo. Looking further up though, we're coming into the final couple of laps, and indeed, if Blizzard wants to get it done here, it's now or never for CRG, because Jordan is leading the way.
Yeah, Oscar Moreno's lost another place, this time to Fireman. Oscar Moreno, well, he's got his teammate Andreas behind him. He may end up with no points after having such a promising race. He's going to dive down the inside of Fireman, try and regain P9. Fireman having to run slightly wide. Slight contact between the two. I think Fireman's going to try and force him off wide, but no, look at this. Oscar braving it out on the outside, keeping just within the track limits. And now Fireman just about keeps it in there. But yeah, Blizzard running out of time to get the race win. Neither Jordan or Blizzard have time penalties, so he has to get it done track if he's going to win. There's still a solid all points for CRG as it stands.
Yeah, they're currently in Ps2 and Ps4. Matthias in P4, Blizzard in P2. And as we can see now, Blizzard is starting to close the gap on Jordan. A great chance here for Blizzard if he can maintain this time gap as they come down towards the latter stages of lap 25. They are in Sector 3 proper now, folks. This is it now. The final lap approaches, and indeed it's Jordan who is currently in top spot for the time being as they make their way down the stretch, heading down towards the Abbey curve. Blizzard in P2, chasing Jordan in the Williams. Juice not far behind, but so's Mathis. It's all to play for in the final lap.
Absolutely, Blizzard has saved a little bit more battery. Jordan is running low on fuel as well. Jordan has less than 20% battery, so Blizzard's going to have a slight advantage, but I think he might try and save it for that final hanger straight. He's not going to overtake this time. I think he's saving as much as he can to go for a full attack out of the sweeping S section before the last sector of the lap.
He is, and Matthias is also cruising on the back end of Juice. If they can make this happen here, it could be a real big day for CRG if this can happen. But currently VSR Jordan in with a chance of actually nailing VSR's first win of the series. Juice as well, looking for a podium for the Shazoo team, as we can now see Blizzard rounding the next right-hander. He is chasing VSR Jordan as they make their way down towards Maggots and Beckett. Indeed, if he's going to use the overtake button, it's going to have to be at the hangar. And indeed, just look at Blizzard all over the back end of Jordan on the outset now of Chapel, heading into what will be the hangar straight. Jordan is a sitting duck. Here comes the Haas. The storm is coming. Blizzard in P1. My word, what a move there by Blizzard. He saved it to the last gasp. Coming round Stowe now, heading down towards the next left-hander for the final time. That, of course, being the club corner now as they swing round this right-hander. And indeed, Blizzard, he's done it again. He did it in the States. He's brought it home to Britain. It is going to be CRG Blizzard who takes the British Grand Prix. VSR Jordan in P2. And, of course, Shazoo Racing Team Juiced in P3. What a race there, Mark.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. All the way to the final, almost virtually the final corner, and that's exactly what you want. But yeah, Blizzard, he got held up in the pit lane, but he kept calm, took advantage of some mistakes that were going on ahead of him, and then he just bid his time and he saved the battery. And the rain is starting to fall. Well, isn't that typical for F1, for the rain to start falling as soon as the race is over?
Oh, how about that for timing, eh, Mark? How about that for timing?
Yeah, they're just too quick for the game's weather system.
Oh, phenomenal scenes here. Blizzard taking his second win of the season. We've only had 2 races. Absolutely unbelievable scenes here. And, of course, I bet he's absolutely delighted with that. What could this mean for the championship? That's for sure. After taking his second win, CRG taking some serious points here today, of course. Unfortunately for, of course, their second man, that being Matthias, he had to drop down yet another place. And that let Waters through there in the Alfa Romeo. So he moved up to P4, P5 for Matthias. And but nevertheless, good points here for CRG. We'll have a look at the finalised results. There's the driver celebrating there for none other than Blizzard. What a race indeed here at Silverstone, and deservedly will celebrate at the top step. But congratulations to the VSR team and Shazoo, both of them taking podiums here today, P2 and P3. And we'll take a look now at the final classifications for the British Grand Prix. CRG Blizzard is confirmed as your race winner. Phenomenal win, 2 from 2 now for the Blizzard. As you can now see, Jordan in P2 as well. VSR taking a podium here today, as well as Shazoo there for Juiced in P3. Watts is there in P4. Matthias, CRG taking P5 as well. Nicholas Mateo in P6 for BDG. VSR, Thyman taking P7. Good points for him as well. Oscar Marino finishing up in P8 for S2V. BDG, Ruma Vallejo, and is made it into the top 10 as well. Great drive, P9. Falcon Roy, P10. Zach in P11 after that unfortunate spin. Andreas in P12. Alejandro P13. Law in P14. Bentley there in P15. Caden Forbes P16. Nardi P17. 18 for Gill. And Eltnick P19 with Ferrer finishing up in P20. But what a phenomenal race there, Mark. We were treated to some exquisite racing and very lucky indeed.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant racing. But yeah, clearly the strategy, the primary strategy of starting on the softs was the superior one by far today. None of the drivers on the alternate strategy really got anywhere near the leaders. So, but yeah, Blizzard again, 2 out of 2. CRG certainly the force to be reckoned with. A top 5 position for them again. They're going to have a significant lead. IGK scoring nothing here today in terms of the top 10 placing. They'll get points outside the top 10, of course, but it's still a big chunk of points lost. So CRG going into the further out of Singapore will be looking very nicely. I think Matthias will be slightly disappointed at that time penalty. And then, of course, that little racing incident with the Fira back marker. Neither driver's fault, but it's potentially cost him a podium, as well did the time penalty. But overall, George, an absolutely brilliant race once again.
It was indeed. Much like, well, in a different circumstance to the USA, we were treated to some exquisite, entertaining racing, folks. I got to say, we'll look ahead now to, of course, the next race on the calendar, that being Singapore, your favourite, Mark, one you've been looking forward to, certainly one of the street circuits we'll be visiting this season. And then, of course, we got Italy following that as well. We've got some really classic races coming up as well, which we'll really look forward to. But I got to say, it's a very hench fixture list for this series, for the TRS F1, and I hope you'll all be sticking around for what's left to come. I got to say, we're very, very fortunate here, and I got to say, I'm very glad to be presenting this to you, as is Mark. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring it to you, folks, here at the historical circuit of Silverstone. History has once again been made here, without a shadow of a doubt. You have all been awesome. Thanks ever so much for joining us here. Don't forget to, of course, check out BDG and, of course, the Trovo streaming system. Thank you for supporting TRS F1. It's been an absolute pleasure. Please like all the socials. Check us out on Twitter. You can check me out on Twitter as well. My name is, of course, George Morgan. CRGGO is my tag on Twitter. And Mark, would you like to present your Twitter account as well?
Yes, it's Alamonda, same name as my Trovo handle. So give me a follow if you like. I post mostly motorsport stuff.
Yeah, be sure to check out Marky Sparky. He knows his way around motorsport, that's for sure. And be sure to check him out, like I said before. But please, guys, leave a like and a sub or a follow, whatever you want to leave us. Feel free to drop us a message as well over on Twitter. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing to you this series here so far. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time. We've got a couple of weeks break, but next time we're off to the Singapore Sling. We'll see you then. Goodbye.